Buonasera e bentornati su London One con un'altra puntata di Il Medico Risponde. Oggi vedete me, non c'è Phil perché c'è questa grande affluenza di medici che in realtà sono interessati a partecipare alla nostra trasmissione. Pensate che non solo medici italiani, ma adesso si è estesa anche a medici inglesi della Royal Society of Medicine. Io sono molto felice di accogliere questa sera il presidente della Gerontologia della Royal Society of Medicine, il dottor Mashkur Khan. Welcome to London One Radio.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm very pleased to discuss about gerontology and the work that the Royal Society of Medicine is doing. So thank you very much.
Incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible. We are very happy because it's a very interesting topic. So we're going to also understand that gerontology is not about extending life, but improving our life. This is the main goal.
Exactly. And what we say, it's all about biological age. It's not about chronological age. You can be 80 and still be as young as a 50-year-old, and you can be 50 with some comorbidities. But what we say in gerontology is to use our science, is to use our medical techniques to keep you fit and young as long as possible so you can enjoy life to the full.
Ecco, questo è il topic di questa sera. Avete mai sentito parlare di gerontologia? È la scienza che vuole studiare l'essere umano, soprattutto in età avanzata, ma non tanto per estendere la nostra vita, ma per migliorarla. E la gerontologia vuole capire quali sono i processi di invecchiamento e come migliorare effettivamente, attraverso anche altre scienze, la nostra salute. Tutto questo però, come ormai ben sapete, dopo la sigla, solo qui su London One Radio. Bene, la prima domanda che vorrei porre al dottor Khan è sapere quali sono effettivamente le aree di studio che al momento la gerontologia in Gran Bretagna si sta occupando. So what are the main area of research that gerontology now is focusing on, Mr. Khan, also you?
Thank you. So we are making very good strides forward with dementia, with memory loss and Alzheimer's disease. And I must say, the newer drugs, which we are going to develop and launch next year, it actually reverses some of the memory loss, and it actually improves your memory. So whenever you're a bit forgetful, or whenever you feel that your memory is not is fading, come and see us, because we have good drugs, we have good options. So that's our biggest research. The second biggest research is Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is not a disease of aging, it's a disease that happens when you get older. But the new treatment options are very good. We can keep you well, healthy. I've got Parkinson's patients who are piano players. I've got Parkinson's patients who are musicians, who are teachers, and they do very well in life. And also, the other big research which we are doing is fainting or syncope, where people suddenly black out or faint. And often there's a medical explanation, and it's not due to aging. And we've got good drugs we can give people, where we can make you walk and make you as best as we can.
Oh, that's quite
And
interesting. I'm gonna talk about also in Italian, just to translate to our listeners who are listening right now from Italy as well. So, a tutti gli ascoltatori che ci stanno seguendo dall'Italia, in questo momento stiamo parlando di gerontologia, come accennato accennato durante la nostra trasmissione. Le tre aree di studio che la gerontologia sta in questo momento focalizzando sono, la prima fra tutte, la demenza senile. Pensate anche all'Alzheimer, che questo può capitare soprattutto in età avanzata. Poi abbiamo parlato di Parkinson, che non è dovuto all'invecchiamento, ma ci sono già dei nuovi farmaci che possono aiutare a ritardare oppure prevenire questa patologia, per poi parlare anche di casi di svenimento, spesso in età avanzata. Non so se avete dei familiari all'ascolto che hanno avuto questi episodi di blackout, addirittura svengono e non si riesce a capire anche il motivo. Did you understand also the reasons that cause fainting in elderly people?
Yes, it's often due to drugs, sometimes due to blood pressure changes. It's called autonomic dysfunction, where suddenly the blood pressure can drop. And we often give a drug called midodrine, which is very, very effective. We often do a test called tilt table test, which is very easy to do, safe, and we can easily
Till
correct.
table test?
Yes, yes. We
What
put
does
you
it
on a
mean?
So we put you on a table where we give you a spray and we can make you faint or not, as the case is. And we put people into high risk, intermediate risk, and low risk. So with the high risk people, we give them tablets and some exercises. And with medium risk, we give somebody a pill in the pocket where you use it when you need it if you feel a bit faint. And low risk, you just increase your fluid intake and you stop some of the drugs. So we do a drug review. Often, there's an old fashioned
And the
saying.
drug review, it's when I'm gonna be like laying on a table. That,
No, no, no,
literally, no.
no, we do
This,
it in the clinic. We do it in the clinic
you do it in a.
because
Okay.
yeah, because in gerontology we say all drugs are poisons and all poisons are drugs. So we don't want the drugs to act as poison for you. So that's why we do a very detailed drug review and look at all the 17 tablets people are and try and stop half of them.
Ecco, questa è la cosa importante. Nella gerontologia loro dicono che i farmaci sono veleno e il veleno sono i farmaci. Quindi la gerontologia vuole capire anche come i farmaci in realtà possono essere utilizzati in modo efficace per cercare di prevenire oppure ridurre il rischio di questi svenimenti che spesso vengono causati anche da problemi anche di salute sanguigna, di pressione sanguigna. Allora c'è un test dove ci fanno capire effettivamente che tipo di livello di rischio sei e in base a quello loro ti assegnano dei farmaci. But I want to discuss about the drugs, because when we talk about aging, is it just something that we can treat through drugs, or there are also other ways that we can improve our life
Yeah.
during or before aging?
So there are three things that we need to do in order to live longer. Number one, you need to exercise more. And by that, I mean half an hour to 40 minutes every day, just walking. You don't have to run a mile or anything, just 40 minutes of walking. Number one. Number two is to cut out stress. So you should try not to worry, try to be happy, look at the glass as half full, and be positive. And thirdly is to eat healthily and Mediterranean diet, vegetables, fruit, a little bit of meat, maybe once a week, cut out red meat. These are the three key ingredients of a long life. And it's easy to do, but we need to do it.
Ecco, lui, il dottor Khan, I love it what you say, because you keep it simple but very straightforward. These are the three ingredients for our life. I tre ingredienti per la nostra vita sono semplicissimi da seguire, ragazzi. Il primo è l'esercizio fisico, non dobbiamo correre, basta anche una mezz'oretta, 40 minuti di una bella passeggiata al parco o nel quartiere e vedrete che migliorerà anche il nostro livello di vita. Togliere lo stress, well, cut out the stress, it's a bit difficult. I don't know how to do it in cities like London, but we need to do it. E vedere sempre anche il bicchiere sempre mezzo pieno, e poi cercare di mangiare bene, quindi avere una dieta mediterranea con tante verdure, cercare di eliminare anche le carni rosse. It's a bit difficult right now because we have this increasing of cost in the UK, and not all the people have access to a good nutrition, for example, because they can't afford to buy, I don't know, even vegetables now, the cost of risen. So is there any, I mean, gerontology, how is studying this kind of phenomenon, social and economic phenomenon, related to elderly people?
I think the elderly people, first of all, I think they need to look at life in a positive way. They need to actually not be depressed and not be anxious. This is very important, and try to do little but often. Often, when they're surrounded by family and friends, they do better. Often, when they have support structure, they do better. And metabolism slows down as you get older. I say to the elderly, don't worry, just have one big hot meal every day. So I don't mind if you have a small breakfast, have a modest lunch with a sandwich and a soup, but have a one hot meal. That's all you need to eat. You don't need to eat too much. So we don't need to worry about the cost of living crisis. We can actually eat modestly and be healthy and be happy.
That's a good news. Quindi non dobbiamo preoccuparci tanto anche dei soldi, anche di questo aumento dei prezzi nei supermercati, perché quando si invecchia automaticamente la natura, inizia a far rallentare il nostro metabolismo, quindi di solito in età avanzata non è necessario mangiare poi così tanto. L'importante è avere un ottimo buon pasto caldo, che può essere un sandwich, magari alternato con delle verdure o una zuppa. Quello è sufficiente per mantenerci comunque attivi e in forma. And when we talk about aging, you mentioned first dementia, so we talk about our brain.
Mm.
I mean, we know that with aging, we also, our skin becomes not as before. I mean, becomes older than it was in the past. But is there any way to keep our brain or to save our brain from aging?
Yes. So if you drink coffee, coffee is converted into acetylcholine and then dopamine. So 3 cups of coffee every day, and it's the caffeine you need because that helps the brain. Secondly, you need something called coenzyme Q10. Coenzyme Q10 can be found in the health shops. It's very good for the brain. And a fruit called pomegranate. Pomegranate used to be used in 1500s under Henry VIII. Is coming back. Pomegranate fruit, or if you don't like the fruit, you'd have pomegranate juice. And then lavender is grown, and we can have lavender shampoo, lavender air freshener, or lavender uh, oil. Lavender is very good. And cumin we give in rice. Cumin is very good for the brain. So these simple maneuvers, and then doing crosswords and jigsaws, word searches, puzzles, these are excellent for brain function. And I encourage all my patients to do that. Simple, but very good.
But even though it's a genetic,
It may not
dementia, for example.
it may not be genetic because there's a condition before dementia called MCI, which stands for minimal cognitive impairment, where for your age, sex, and education, you're 2 standard deviations below. So you can still learn new things, you can still drive a car, you can still look after yourself. You just have senior moments when from day to day you forget. But all these patients, including the dementia patients, get good and bad days. So, in an average week, I always ask them that in an average, do you get more good days or more bad days? Because if they get more good days, then they can survive. They're fine. You just accept the bad day and say, today is a bad day, I'll stay indoors. But you go out on a good day. You go out with your family, you go out with your friends, go to that place you want to go to, enjoy yourself. And the whole idea about getting old is to enjoy life, and they should enjoy
Ecco.
life to the full.
At least at the last days, to be honest,
Of
because we
course.
are all also stressed during our life due to our work, so we need to enjoy life at least when we are old, at least in those days. Ecco,
Yes.
quello che ha detto è molto importante perché ci sono dei tricks anche naturali che noi possiamo utilizzare per mantenere il nostro cervello giovane anche quando invecchiamo. E ad esempio utilizzare la lavanda, utilizzare addirittura 3 tazze di caffè al giorno, perché la caffeina aiuta a mantenere il cervello attivo. Naturalmente anche allenare la nostra mente, quindi magari con dei cruciverba, con dei giochi che allenano la nostra mente, anche matematici, non solo letterari. Leggere, I mean reading a book is a good idea.
It's a great idea. And I always tell my demented patients, go back and read the book that you really enjoyed. There must have been one book, you loved that book. Read it again. It'll remind you of things. Read any book. So I always ask them that, what are your hobbies? And I always encourage them to do hobbies. For instance, reading, uh,
Painting.
painting is excellent. Painting is very good. Doing crosswords, doing jigsaws, they're so important. And also I often ask my elderly patients that, do you have any old photographs? So they say, we've got hundreds. I say, bring them out and go through it with your friend, partner, or your children, and ask them to describe what this picture is, and you tell them where you went, because it'll jog their memory.
Yes. And
Yes.
all the stories come out, ecco.
All the
Anche ad
same.
esempio sfogliare le fotografie quando si è in età avanzata con i propri nipoti, ma anche da soli, ma soprattutto, se c'è compagnia è più bello perché c'è anche un momento di sharing e le persone, anche che stanno iniziando un percorso di demenza senile, iniziano a riportare quelle vecchie storie ai propri nipoti e si crea un'atmosfera completamente familiare. Quindi tutti in realtà possono cercare di almeno, prevenire la demenza utilizzando questi tricks, but I saw also in the news that in the UK there are researchers that are focusing on new drugs that will try to delay the happening of dementia, isn't it?
Yes, yes, and we also have current drugs. We have three current drugs which are very good. They're very effective for the first 4 years, and we're just holding the line. And people with that, now there are three categories of people. There are responders who, one third, they go back to normal. The middle third, they don't get any worse, but they stay about the same. And the lower third, they go down slowly. It's always worth trying these current drugs because they are very effective, and I wouldn't write them off. These drugs are good when the newer drugs come out next year. And these drugs are out in America already. It'll come out next year, and I think dementia is no longer a death sentence. Dementia is no longer a condition you should be worried about. It's like diabetes or it's like high blood pressure, which can be controlled and managed.
Ecco, la demenza non è più una, causa della nostra morte anche precoce, perché ci sono addirittura delle persone che magari a 70 anni, 75 vanno via a causa della demenza senile, perché in questo momento ci sono dei nuovi farmaci che riescono a controllarla, come ad esempio ci sono i farmaci per il diabete, addirittura a partire già dal prossimo anno, dal 2025, ci sono dei farmaci che riusciranno ad essere introdotti nel mercato britannico e a controllare la demenza senile in tutto questo. And what about Alzheimer?
Yeah, so Alzheimer is 70% of all dementias, and the treatment for Alzheimer's is excellent. Alzheimer's really do well with the drugs such as donepezil, then galantamine, which now is number one in the UK, and the newer drugs are mementin. They're all very effective and should be tried. Sometimes you can try Alzheimer's drugs, two drugs together, which is galantamine and mementin. Very effective. I've got 450 patients who I look after, and the vast majority of them do well.
It's quite interesting because, for example, also talking about with some doctors who are working in Italy, they still don't know how Alzheimer happen in people. I mean, in the UK, did you find any type of causes that actually cause Alzheimer? It's just about genetics. It's about aging. What's the
Yeah.
real problem
So
behind that?
Yeah. So I think that, it's wear and tear of the brain, first of all. Secondly, it often occurs in families, but not always. But often it depends on your occupation. So there was a study from America which showed that if you don't use it, you lose it. So we always need to use our brain, whether that's reading or whether that's in our job or whether that's looking after the grandchildren. It's very good for the brain to keep your brain active. Like any muscle in the body, we go to the gym, we exercise, keep our body active. Our brain also needs exercise, so our brain needs to do brain function. That's why I encourage them that do the crosswords, do the jigsaws, do the word searches, do whatever you can to keep your brain active. Because if you keep your brain active, that brain will there will be neurons that will connect each other, and therefore in turn you will have a much better brain function than if you watch daytime TV all day, which is very bad for you.
Yeah, that's true. Ecco, quello che sta dicendo è che anche con lo studio della gerontologia hanno capito che effettivamente l'Alzheimer non è causato soltanto da una questione genetica, ma spesso perché le persone utilizzano poco il proprio cervello. Lo tengono in letargo, guardando sempre magari la TV, stando sempre al telefono, using too much social media, for example,
It's not good for you.
passively, like looking at the screen every day. But that also happens with people using screens for work. Like, for example, people at the computer all the time because they're doing the data and releasing. Is that having also an impact in aging?
It is. I always say to them that after 1 or 2 hours, you need to take a break from the computer because the computer is passive. Unless you are actually writing something or you are actually composing something, just passive computer is not good for the brain. The stimulation is not enough. So that's why I always say to my patients, you need to socialize, you need to go out and meet your friends. I always say to them, do you have any old friends? Like when you met them in childhood, do you have any old friends? Meet up with them, go and meet your old friends, because the old friends will take you to a place that nobody else can. They'll say, oh, remember when you were 15 and we went to that restaurant and we got lost, all laughing. It's nice, and then you get your memories jogged again, and these things
Ecco.
are important.
Ecco, questo è importantissimo, quindi non stare anche troppo al computer, a meno che voi state componendo qualcosa o scrivendo, quindi mantenendo comunque un cervello attivo, dopo al minimo 1 ora o 2 ore al computer usato in maniera passiva dovete uscire. Una cosa che consiglia il dottore è magari incontrarsi con i vecchi amici, perché soltanto loro sono in grado di stuzzicare la vostra la simpatia e anche qualche risata in più, perché vi conoscono bene e quindi questo crea dei momenti gioiosi, ma soprattutto mantengono il nostro cervello attivo. Before ending our conversation, Mr. Khan, what kind of role is playing the Royal Society of Medicine in gerontology?
So, at the Royal Society of Medicine on the 8th of May, we have a big meeting on dementia about the new drugs, about the new research, about the cognitive clinics, and we are doing a lot of studies and helping new dementia treatments, not only in the United Kingdom, but also all over Europe and the world. So, I think that's very important. We're having dementia workshops. I also lecture the master's program in the University of London, where I teach everybody dementia and how to manage dementia, because dementia is going to be with us forever. I call dementia the new epidemic. I call dementia the new hidden epidemic that we had, like the new plague, if you like, that people died of plague in the old days. This is the hidden new plague that we are faced with. And one of the effects of living longer is the disease has moved up north. So in the old days, people died of heart attacks. Heart disease is now being controlled. Then the disease moved further north when people had strokes. Strokes are better managed now. So the disease has moved to the small vessels of the brain, which is dementia. So this is the new plague, the new disease that we have to tackle.
So 8th of May, where is it possible to join the event?
It's online at the Royal Society of Medicine from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And I welcome all of you. I've got some superb speakers, international speakers, who are going to talk about dementia and the new treatments.
Ecco, quindi l'8 di maggio ci sarà un evento online dove potete partecipare con grandi esperti. Lui, che è il presidente della Gerontologia, modererà il talk dove ascolterete come la demenza verrà trattata anche nei prossimi anni, perché come ha dichiarato il dottor Khan, in realtà questa è la nuova peste. Prima c'erano molte più persone che morivano di infarto, adesso diciamo che le malattie si sono spostate verso il nord del nostro corpo, quindi colpiscono our brain, il nostro cervello, e la demenza, secondo Mr. Khan, è la nuova peste, la nuova epidemia nascosta che sta colpendo moltissime persone. Ma adesso con i nuovi farmaci, nuovi studi, le cose inizieranno anche ad essere prese sotto controllo. Thank you very much, Mr. Khan, for
It's
being
been
with
a
us.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And I'd love to come again if you invite me, but it's been wonderful coming to the studio. Next time I'll come to the studio. It's been
Of
wonderful
course.
talking to you and getting my thoughts across. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much. Questo è il Medico Risponde su London One. Il prossimo giovedì un altro medico italiano o inglese sarà presente anche nel nostro studio per parlare di altre tematiche.